my talk, I should thank Dr. Roy for keeping a platform ready for us. I probably represent a different spectrum here, which is mostly in the conservation and cultivation of medicinal crops. As Dr. Hegde mentioned, our specialization is more to do with the cultivation and with the farmers. And since cultivation requires varieties, so I'm here before you. And at the outset, I also thank ASTA for giving me this opportunity to share some of our work with you, which involves conservation and cultivation of medicinal crops. So I think most of the speakers have already spoken to you about the importance and what is the traditional knowledge we hold, and also our ancestral knowledge in terms of Ayurveda or Unani or many other traditional knowledge systems. This is just few slides I put basically to bring you to the topic, and it also shows that we have codified knowledge systems and documented evidence that we have using the medicinal plants in human health. And since we say even now we are relying more on the allopathic medicine, there are certain still over the globe, still many places or many countries still using these medicinal plants. And when you come to, because as we are mentioning, India is a biodiverse rich country, I don't want to go into the details, but you can see around 40% of the total world's plant biodiversity is held in our country. And also, there are many species, because we have a very diverse agro-geographical regions, right from tropical rainforests to the arid cold deserts. We have very wide climatic conditions to hold this geographical diversity and also supporting the plant diversity. And we have, as I was mentioning, we have many, biogeographical zones and biotic provinces, and there are more than 8,000 plants which are used in our tradition. And coming to many of those details which we already spoken, and basically you want to see that the demand for these herbal products, and I always tell in my classes that it is very cynical to thank COVID, but we all agree that COVID is the one reason why people have started looking at the medicinal plants. And even in our nursery, after the COVID, we started selling more medicinal plants. And because we see that the immunity or the strength of our own system to combat the diseases is more important than relying the medicine to combat, especially the viral diseases. And other day somebody was commenting, this is not Kali Yuga, this is virus Yuga. Because one after the other you are facing one or the other viruses. And I'm sure, as per the predictions, we are also going to have some more new viruses. I'm sure we are also going to have, ready with the medicines or changes to combat those. And and many speakers have already spoken how the demand for these herbal medicines or the natural products, either it be cosmetics or your medicines, it's increasing. But the same question happens, like where is that material coming from? And we also have seen that the loss of biodiversity is one of the major issues which especially the medicinal and aromatic plant sector is facing, because we know that the germplasm and the variability that is existing in the natural environment is very, very essential for either to find the new molecules or to your enhancing the secondary metabolites, either through the molecular tools or through the conventional plant breeding methods, or for the cultivation aspects. But as some of the speakers also mentioned, we are losing these biodiversity at a very alarming rate. And this could be because of the many reasons, as it is mentioned, as a habitat loss or habitat fragmentation or unsustainable harvest. And also, as we all know, the trade is very unorganized, unmonitored. So this over-harvesting, unmonitored collection from the wild, and also on the, we are not following the sustainable harvesting techniques even when you're collecting from the wild. This is all contributing to the loss of biodiversity. And this is just to bring to your notice that how much species we are losing. And I think when you come to conservation concerns, there are certain global bodies which do regular surveys and classify them into different categories, like extinct or near extinct or regulated endangered species. And this is also to show how many of our species are falling under different categories. And if you are looking for exploiting these resources for our health needs or for cultivation or for ecosystem conservation, it is primarily very, very basically important to focus on this area on the conservation. So when you talk about conservation, I don't want to go into the too much details, but just to bring you to your attention how much it is important and what could be the different strategies for you can follow for the conservation of these valuable medicinal plant resources. We have, I think many of you know, it is a basic information. It is like either it could be an ex situ conservation or in situ conservation, and it could be, when you call ex situ, you kind of take it away from its original location and you conserve it in other places. When you are doing an in situ conservation, you are primarily looking to conserve in its own place of existence or availability. So in situ conservation, we have national parks, protected areas, biosphere reserves and World Heritage Sites and medicinal plants conservation areas and medicinal plant development areas. And in situ on-farm and ex situ on-farm is also there. And where you have many of you, if you are from Kerala or Karnataka, you also know the concept of sacred groves. This is also a very ancient concept to conserve the important species. And not only that, when you conserve them in situ in their own ecosystem, the natural evolution also happens. And the intraspecific or interspecific recombinations happen. So it kind of the variability kind of evolve. So that evolution of variability is very, very important for us, because that kind of system gives an opportunity to harness that variability for our own interests. So ex situ, you can see there are some seed gene banks and botanical or herbal gardens, home herbal gardens, community herbal gardens, and conservation parks, and field gene banks and in vitro repositories. But my primary concern will be on the domestication and cultivation. As we see in the long run, as such, it is a need of the hour, because we see over the few years, and as Dr. Hegde was mentioning, I've been working in this area of medicinal crop research. It's always been like when you say to your, we have institute research councils where we project our research of what we are doing. We always had this question being asked to us, who are your takers? And I should frankly admit, till few years before, there were not an industry who is coming and asking you for a quality seed or quality variety, because it's been mostly done on a bulk basis and being collected from the wild. So now, because our National Biodiversity Authority is in place and some of our regulatory protocols are being practiced very stringently, so now people, and also they have already exploited our wild resources to a large extent. And even as some of the speakers mentioned, the traceability, safety, and sustainability is being asked even if you want to supply to the global markets. This is an essential reason why industry is also looking into cultivation. So when you talk about cultivation, see, when you compare these crops with your field crops or any other horticulture crops, we are way different from others, because here our concept or our focus is on improving both yield and whatever is an active compound or the secondary metabolite which we are, as Dr. Dinesh in the morning he mentioned. So those target therapeutic secondary metabolites is also our concern. And when you talk about secondary metabolites, you also know they are highly influenced by the environment. So this genetic and environmental interaction is also one thing which we kind of take care. So when you come to domestication and cultivation, we also see, when you talk about cultivation, a variety is inevitable. Like, you have to give them a variety which can yield better and also give you a good amount of secondary metabolites and stable expression of the metabolites. And also when you talk about sustainable utilization, then you ultimately come for good agricultural practices, even good collection practices, which I have not mentioned here. And also most of it now, they also ask for organic cultivated raw drugs. And in situ conservation, I don't want to, as I said, don't want to spend too much time, but then there are medicinal plants conservation areas and also the biosphere areas which government has already identified, and MPCAs and MPDAs are mostly the work of TDU. I'm sure somebody is going to talk to you about it. And I also mentioned about sacred groves, which is a very good concept, and probably we should all promote that. And ex situ, what our research organizations do in terms of botanical gardens or herbal gardens, and also the gene banks, and where we also, as part of our research, when we collect the germplasm, we send the seeds to the NVPGR, which is a central body which saves all this diversity in the seed banks, or we have identified national gene bank areas, sources, like which are the institutes. So we also deposit to them for further conservation and also for the further utilization. So ex situ conservation, I said there are some 16 MPCPs which are identified in South India, which are essentially done through FRLHT under DANIDA project. And we have many policy regulations which also tells you how this conservation work can be taken up. And basically coming to the cultivation, as I said, cultivation is very important because it offers basically the uniformity of the material, the safety, traceability, uniformity, authenticity, all those things can be addressed to the cultivation. So cultivation is, as I mentioned, important to get a uniform raw material, and the quality assurance is there, and improvement in yield and quality, so that you can you can meet the demands of the global market and you can compete in the global markets. And it also requires for you to develop a quality planting material, and it also helps in the conservation of genetic diversity. And of course, as I mentioned, to follow the good agricultural practices, and now with the NMPB and also through many of our research organizations, they have developed good agricultural practices for each of the medicinal plants which are being cultivated now. And there is also efforts going on to develop some more good agricultural practices for different medicinal plants. And when you come, how these herbs are being utilized, just to give an idea, so how many different sectors it's being used for the conventional Ayurvedic formulations, extraction markets, herbal teas, nutraceuticals, flavors and fragrances, aromatic oils and culinary herbs and other areas. So this, when you talk about again sustainable utilization and how this biodiversity is being utilized, is discovering useful new molecules and also to produce the bioactive compounds in the purest form, and also exploit them for their medicinal uses, and to develop superior cultivars. And you need these wild species if you want to incorporate any of your biotic and abiotic stresses into cultivated types. And also it forms the basic material for your molecular tools, which Dr. Dinesh has spoken in the morning, genomic studies or bioreactors or transformation studies, or to develop genetic maps, even to understanding the evolution aspects is the basic, probably if somebody taxonomists are there, it is also them, like we do a lot of understanding how these species have been evolved. So I would like to spend some time on what kind of work we were doing at our institute in the medicinal crops. And basically, when you talk about our institute, it is a premier research institute which works in horticulture crops, especially fruits, vegetables, flowers, and medicinal crops. And we also have different supporting departments in addition to crop improvement, crop production, crop protection. We have a post-harvest technologies and other allied sectors. And we also have a wide variety of technologies which are available. You can see our website. And we have a special instrument facility where we have high-end analytical labs. And we also have an NABL accredited laboratory which uses all high-end equipments to test heavy metals or pesticide residues or even microbial contaminations, etc. And coming to the medicinal crop research at IIHR, we were working on conservation, elite variety development, organic production technologies, and soilless cultivation, and we were discussing about the RET plants or even sustainable harvest. So we are now in the process of standardizing some of non-destructive harvesting techniques, especially for the root crops. And we have a phytochemical laboratory, and as I mentioned, we estimate the residues and the heavy metals. We also take up training and business processing development activities. Coming to the conservation, we collect a lot of germplasm in the crops where we are doing the research. We have a lot of germplasm in the crops, and also we have a good field gene bank, herbal garden, and we also maintain a herb demonstration unit and also a herbal nursery, because this becomes very important for us for our breeding research. And morning somebody was mentioning about RET plants. So we have done quite a good work in RET plants. We have RET garden where we conserved around 32 species. This work has been done with the funding from National Medicinal Plant Board. And we have developed distribution maps for 32 medicinal plants, RET medicinal plants, and also we have developed the distribution maps and also evaluation techniques, standardized evaluation protocols for their active ingredients. And coming to the conservation, we also mentioned that in vitro methods are also one part of how you conserve these. So we have also standardized some low growth tissue culture protocols for conserving these medicinal plants. And also we have a cryopreservation specialty technique where we have standardized that method for almost 12 to 15 medicinal crops. And we also, as I mentioned, we maintain around 200 species, different tree species, shrubs in our herbal garden. And we have around 32 species, and we have a demonstration unit covering around 50 different species, and a herbal nursery where we multiply almost close to 70 different herbs. And coming to the work, what we have done in different medicinal crops, these are, I think one of the crop I worked also is a velvet bean, what we call Mucuna pruriens or kapikuchu, which has multiple medicinal uses. And I'm sure many of you Ayush people know it is also a part of more than 100 Ayurvedic formulations. And we also promoted this crop as a multi-purpose legume, medicinal legume, because the seeds have L-dopa, which are known for curing Parkinson's disease, and also known to I think anti-obesity. They're using for sports nutrition and many other properties. And besides its medicinal property, we are also promoting it because it's a legume, it fixes nitrogen, it adds lots of biomass, and also it's like a cover crop, very aggressive climber also, and it covers your whole soil and also has an allelopathic effect, so it doesn't let the weeds grow. And it also adds lots of biomass, so it improves your organic carbon content in the soil. So it is many people now are using this crop for both the purposes. So we had actually most of these industries were sourcing it from the wild mucuna. Even now, some of those industries keep doing it, keep taking that sources. Those are the wild kapikuchu. That is what they have a very itchy trichomes on the pods. So when you kind of harvest, if the trichomes come or the hairs come into the contact of your skin, it gives you a severe dermatitis. So we, in our breeding program, we kind of thought like, can we develop some lines or isolate from the germplasm existing without these trichomes, so which can be helpful in a large-scale commercial cultivation. And I'm also very glad to share that because of our efforts and our varieties, we could make this crop as a sustainable crop so that the market has a quality produce for the industry purpose. And also the farmers are happy growing this crop because it's a very hardy crop and easy to grow. So this is how we have done. We've collected a lot of germplasm, we screened, we characterized, and we evaluated both for yield and L-dopa content. And we have identified some superior lines from the germplasm, and also we have taken up the hybridization to improve the L-dopa content. And so we have, you can see the variability in the pod structure, which has the wild type is the center one, where you can see the itchy trichomes. And what we have developed are those lines with non-itchy trichomes. And we have also used molecular markers to see there and fingerprint whatever our elite lines. So we have come out with 6 varieties, which are long duration, medium duration, short duration, with a very good seed yield and an L-DOPA content. And we also have our technology licensing and Institute Technology Management Unit, through which we license our technologies. So these varieties have been licensed to industries and growers, and very well accepted by the industry. And moreover, on average, we sell almost 4 to 5 tons of seed from our institute. And besides our contact farmers who have taken our licensing, they sell quite a few tons of seeds to the different pharmaceutical industries. And these are the details. If you want, you can always contact our institute. And these are our contact. And not only just releasing the varieties, we also take care that these seed material is available to the farmers. And we are multiplying this seed through seed village concept. So we give it to the farmers, we ask them to multiply and take back, and then check their quality and then germination aspect. And then we sell through our online seed portal. You can see our website. We have an online seed portal where you can even get the seeds of other fruits, vegetables, and flower crops also. So other crop which we worked, Centella asiatica, you might be knowing. It's a very good in demand and one of the top 8 best-selling herbs in outside the country also. And extract is one of the major herbal extract which is being exported from India. And we also have worked in this crop to see whether we can develop some varieties with high Hesaraghatta and high total terpenoid content, and also gives you the high yield. So we have again, collected the germplasm, and we also conserved this germplasm, and we exploited this germplasm variation to isolate, some of the high-yielding varieties. We have 2 varieties, Arka Prabhavi and Arka Divya, with the high Hesaraghatta content and high fresh biomass yield. And these are also being licensed to the industry and to the growers. We also take up some demonstrations. It's a demonstration in, I think, 4 acres area in Gadak. And these, some of our varieties have also been released through Central Varietal Release Committee recently. And other crop which we worked on was ashwagandha, as already mentioned before. I don't need to emphasize its importance. And after this COVID, when we go to US, I'm sure Dr. Previous speaker also agrees with me. Most of those big medicinal sections are stored with ashwagandha capsules and curcumin. So these 2 are the hot selling cakes after COVID in the US. And of course, that golden latte from the coffee makers. And so here also we've collected a very wide germplasm, more than around 200 germplasm from different parts of the country. And we have identified some of the chemotypes. And we have also identified one variety, Arka ashwagandha, which gives you higher dry root yield, and as well as the total withenoid content is very high. And this is also been licensed, and it is also released from state Karnataka, recommended for Karnataka, and also released by the Central Varietal Release Committee. And it is also has been given for industry and growers licensed. Another crop we worked was an Eclipta alba, and since there are no released varieties here, and it is also one of the highly traded crop, so we have also worked on this crop looking for lines which can give us high biomass, and here our target molecule was the beta-lactam content. As you know, Eclipta is also known for hair promoting properties as well as for the liver ailments. So here also we have collected a lot of germplasm, and we evaluated the germplasm for different characters, morphological characters, and also for the beta-lactam yield. And we also developed a HPLC method for estimating this, and we published and validated that method. And we have come out with a variety, Arka Bringraj, which is very high yield. Most of the Bringraj, if somebody has seen, most of them are the prostrate types, and this variety is a very erect type. And we have recently standardized even the retuning part of it so that the growers can get higher yield and higher economic returns. and it has a very high biomass yield and also high in beta-lactam content up to 0.5% to 0.6%. And it can also be propagated both through cuttings and seeds, and it's a highly prolific flowering and seed bearing thing. We have also been evaluated, evaluating this with the MOU with a few industries. And we are also doing some ongoing work on Brahmi, Kalmeg, and also in Gymnema to isolate lines with high bacoside content, high yielding Brahmi, which we are almost ready with few lines. And undergraph is also, we have lines with high undergraphloid content and the yield. And also we have isolated some of the Gymnema lines which are high in gymnemagenin content. I'm sorry. And the work is going on in the yield trials. And though it's not clearly, relevant, probably classified under medicinal plants, I just want to put before you about the work in beetle vine, because it's a wonderful plant with lots of medicinal properties, which probably is not being exploited to the extent it has to be exploited. And moreover, now we say everywhere the chewing of beetle vine has come down because of the bad habit of spitting. But I think there is a need for us to understand its medicinal properties and develop some of those products out of it so that our farmers can be benefited. So here also we have done a lot of work, and we developed the dust rates, and then we have also have a large collection with us, and we have done hybridization, standardized the hybridization, and we have released two hybrids in it, Arka Sampada and Arka Padma, which have been recently identified from the ECRIP. And another new promising hybrid is in the trials, and it is doing very well in both the farmers' fields, especially, I don't know how many of you know, it's a dioecious plant, and we have both male and female plants in it. And we classify them as Bangla or Kapuri, we call it Ambadi or Kariyele. So this is the hybrid which is suitable for Ambadi types. And besides this, we are also doing supporting work in molecular aspect, basically to fingerprint our lines in almost all of the crops which we have been working. And in Eclipta and beetle vine, we developed, since there are no SSR markers for doing these molecular studies, we have developed our own SSR primers, and using them that we fingerprinting and doing basic works like diversity analysis, looking for some unique lines, and probably getting them registered with our central bodies like NBPGR. And some of those innovative technologies also we are doing in this crop, like we have designed a beetle leaf oil extractor, and we have done some value-added products in this. So with this, like besides this, some of those work what we are doing, we have not, I've not in detail mentioned here. One of the interesting work what we are doing is, as somebody was mentioning, how we can kind of use this traditional knowledge. Like we have been thinking of doing this, some of those products which are mentioned in Vriksha Ayurveda technique, like your Kunapajala. So we have recently been working on these areas in a collaborative project under CCRA's funded project, where we are using this Kunapajala to see whether it can be utilized as an organic nutrient to improve the quality and yield of the medicinal plants. And besides this, we are also using a soil-less cultivation, where we are using soil-less media, especially coco peat and hydroponics, to see whether we can promote this non-destructive harvesting. Because especially in those plants of RET plants, and also where your root is an important part, especially on Dasamula or many Ayurvedic formulations, where roots are being used. These roots, once you harvest them, you are destructing the whole plant, and the regeneration is not there. So in those plants, we see most of them now are using the substitutes rather than the original plant which is prescribed by the Ayurveda. So we are looking into some of these standardizing certain techniques so that you can harvest the roots but put back the plant so that you can continuously grow the plant and harvest it. So this kind of interventions can help in, again, conservation, and also in sustainable harvesting of the medicinal plants. And this work we are almost through, and probably we will be giving the final recommendations in 1 or 2 medicinal plants, especially for Uraria picta and Pipli, Piper longa. And besides this, I have not mentioned much about the production technology part. We have already standardized production, organic production technologies in Kalmeg, Coleus fuscoli, and also on Tulsi. And besides this, we also have done certain work on standardizing the methodologies for estimation of these bioconstituents through HPLC. As I mentioned, IIHR has other technologies, like what I mentioned was the work what we have done in our division about production technologies or variety development. But when you talk about the other technologies, like we have many technologies, like now we put more emphasis on organic production. So we have some technologies like biofertilizers and bioinsecticides, and also certain what you call these traps, and many other technologies, which I can mention is like we have an ARCA microbial consortium, which is a consortium of microbials. Sir was mentioning about the soil health. So we know that the microbes of the soil which are very important. So these kind of microbial consortia or biofertilizers are very important to improve your soil health. And we also see when you can improve your soil in this aspect, your secondary metabolites concentration also increases. So this is, as Sir was mentioning, it is akin to our body, like how your life goes, even the plant life goes. When you think that you are deficient in micronutrients, it is also happening to the soil. Soil is deficient, plants are deficient, your produce is deficient, so we are also deficient. So this, in this way also a lot of work is happening. So those kind of technologies, like we have a neem soap and Pongamia soap, and also we have recently come out with natural control mechanism for the mealybugs, which is also mealy melt. And besides this, we have worked on a lot of value-added products. Since the time given was short, I couldn't cover most of them. We have a very vibrant post-harvest division where we are working on developing some of the value-added products, even through addition of medicinal plants in fruit-derived products, or as other speakers said, RTS beverages. Now we have developed RTS beverage of Centella. Similarly, we have developed a lot of other value-added products. And besides this, we also have a robust technology licensing and also technology incubation facilities, where any of you can approach, and you can use those facilities also for either through consultative mode, or you can license our technologies. We have an on-site incubation and off-site incubation facilities. So in total, I just put before you what is the work going on in our institute in a very briefly on conservation aspects, and also on the improvement aspects, and even the other technologies which can help in advancing medicinal plants cultivation. As we see, the cultivation of medicinal plants is the one which we all have to admit to be taken up, because unless you bring them under cultivation, having a safe produce and also a sustainable produce, and also the most important thing is traceability, cannot be addressed. And I'm sure some of those, I'm sure like many of my colleagues from university are here, who are also working. But anyhow, any of you are interested, you can always see our website or contact us. And to conclude, I say conservation and cultivation is the key for the future expansion, or even to meet the future demands on the herbal products. And also, as mentioned in the morning, from morning we've been listening to different topics, and very rightly put by Dr. Rai, everybody has an expertise in different areas. Unless we come together and work together, I am sure this kind of work can help in promoting and also meeting the global demand, being a global leader in this area. With these few words, and again, thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all for your patient hearing.